Hey guys, it's Faye and this is Day with Faye. Today is another Real Talk segment, and for those of you who are new to Real Talk is when we talk about things that are difficult and not always easy to talk about, and yeah. So I kind of wanted to give an update on therapy. Since my last video, I think it's been about a year, and a lot has happened since then in terms of my mental health. So EMDR was working extremely well for me, but unfortunately my insurance wasn't even covering it as an out-of-network, out-of-pocket kind of thing. It was rejected, and that really stunk because I saw a lot of real progress, but it was just too much of a financial burden to continue. So a couple weeks after that, months, I didn't see anybody. Honestly, it was just really, really difficult to, I don't know, just put myself out there again and just be vulnerable again with someone, thinking I'm gonna find help, and then it didn't work out, or, you know. It takes a lot out of me personally to do that search all over again. Finally, I found enough energy to muster up enough courage to do that. So then I found a new therapist, and after a couple of sessions I stopped seeing her because it just wasn't connecting, and that was really disheartening. It's so frustrating how hard it is to find a therapist that you connect with, but it's okay because you got to be proactive for yourself and you got to put that energy and effort in to make yourself better. The reason why I didn't specifically connect with her is I'm not sure if any of you guys know, but I'm agnostic. I'm totally 100% supportive of everyone's beliefs. I'm not the type of person who wants to push my beliefs onto another person, and I expect that kind of same treatment back, just because I feel like that's common decency, whatever. However, I feel like when I am going to therapy for a specific reason, and you know that I have certain views of the world, I feel like as a therapist, you gotta put your views of the world aside and understand how I see the world and use that lens to help and guide me. So I'm just being super vague, so I'm just gonna tell you what's up. So I go to therapy for a lot of reasons. I have depression, although I'm getting extremely better with that. I have anxiety, honestly not doing so well with that, if I'm honest. And I have PTSD as well, just a lot of stuff. The thing that brought me in a lot and continually brings me in is that I had a friend who ended his life a few years ago. I think it's been like 2 years now. It was really hard for me to cope with, and honestly I'm still not coped with it. The only times that I'm able to have like a good day or whatever, I'm just not thinking about it, and the moment that I start thinking about it, it just brings up a lot of things. My memory card all of a sudden got full, so I had to change that. But yeah, so I had a friend that I was close to at one point in my life, and you know, with being in college and kind of just doing my own thing, we drifted apart, and then I found out on Facebook that he ended his life. The thing that makes it really hard is, I don't know, I have so many dreams about him where I'm just like, hey, are you okay? Or I'm trying to go back in time and save him. It's really difficult because we have such a similar upbringing. We had such a similar upbringing. And I have been where he was like a couple years ago, actually a year before all that happened. And it's really hard because it's like, I think about how unfair it is that he had this upbringing that led him into not having such a great mindset, and that he wasn't lucky enough to find the resources or stumble across the resources to be okay. You know, I was really lucky that I had the support system that I did, and that I had the help that I did for me not to end up, you know. So when I think about that, it's just not fair. And I think about, I don't know if it's like, it's probably not healthy to do, but I always look at our messages together, and you know, he talks about how his purpose in life was to be a father or whatever, and he talks about like his life plans, and when I read that and I know that that's not going to be fulfilled, it's just really hard to comprehend. It's just really hard to cope with death as someone who's agnostic, or anyone, I guess if you're atheist too, it's really hard to cope because, at least in my viewpoint, and again, I'm not trying to like convince anyone of anything, but in my viewpoint, things don't happen for a reason. Yeah, of course you could look at some things and learn from them so that they don't happen again, but sometimes crap happens. And no matter how much you can learn from it, it's still painful. So as much as I could look at his death as a lesson, I don't ever want to look at it as like a lesson, because that's not, his life doesn't serve that purpose to me. His life is much more valuable than that. And it's hard because I know people say, well, he's in a better place now and all this, but I don't really believe that. And I don't really know what I believe. It'd be great to think that he's in an awesome place and he's fine and he's okay, but I don't know. And assuming that there is nothing, like, it doesn't make it better. And that, coupled along with a lot of deaths that happened around that year, there were so many, and not one of those deaths that occurred in my life from close family members or, friends or my yoga teacher, all of them were just crazy. All the deaths that happened in my life was just all random. I never expected that. They never expected that. I guess it made me feel extremely anxious because it's like, you never know. I mean, you really don't. I don't know when my time is. I don't know when the people close to me, when their time is. No one knows, and it makes me fearful a lot, to the point that I don't even enjoy my life because I'm just so anxious. Like, I remember when Mike and I got engaged, I wanted to get married as soon as possible because I was just like, but what if something happens and we don't do this? I've gotten better in terms of that, because for a little bit I was just too scared to do anything. I was too scared to go out. I was too scared to, experience life, because I was just scared something was going to happen. I would just, every single corner, every single time I would go outside, I'd be like, is this the time that I'm not alive anymore? Is this, I don't even know. It's just this fear. So when I was with that therapist, I wasn't getting the help that I needed. I was hearing things like everything happens for a reason, and I was just like, this isn't working out. So I stopped seeing her, and it was, again, super hard for me to see someone. And I think that was back in October, and now it's January. And I finally found a new therapist. And before I go more into the story, I just wanted to tell you guys that this time what I did is I cross-referenced my insurance website with Psychology Today. And Psychology Today, you can put in what insurance you have. You can put in specific issues that you're looking for. So for me, I put existential because I was like, if a therapist is clicking that, they know how to help me, I hope. So I did that, and I narrowed it down. I read all their bios. I looked to see what was covered on my insurance, double checking, and I found 4. I have a list of, so if this one doesn't work out, I can go to the other 3. So we'll see how that goes. My appointment is actually I have to leave for my appointment in a little bit less than 20 minutes. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. Thankfully, I was able to read this book. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and it's by Mark Manson. And if you're reading that book or you don't want to get spoiled, please skip to this. But if not, let me tell you. So at the end of this book, he talks about a traumatic experience that he went through where his close friend passed away, tragically. And he had lived his life after that in a gloom, a fear, just never really getting out of bed and not really living his life. So he would have dreams, or he had a dream, and again, he was saying, I don't know if it was because he was talking to me or if my brain was just trying to rationalize things or cope with the loss, which I guess is kind of how I view things too. But he had a dream where he was talking to his departed friend and was like, hey, I'm so sorry you died and that I wasn't able to help. And then he said, I don't know why you're sorry, why I'm not alive, when you're alive and you're not living your life. He had this basic realization that his friend, no matter what happens, his friend will still be dead. That will be a fact. if he decides to live his life gloomily and just not actively doing things, his friend is still dead. If he decides to, you know, be zealous about life and do the things that he is passionate about, his friend is still dead. So that made me feel a lot better, because it made me think that no matter what happens, good or bad, that's still the fact. And it gave me some sort of peace. And I really like this book because I just felt like I resonated with him a lot, because I'm super skeptical about a lot of things, every fad out there, just so much. And he kind of appears to be that way too in the book. So I definitely recommend it if you're suffering through something similar. This is basically just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more going on that I feel like would take hours to talk about, but it is the one prevailing reason that I always end up going back and trying to find a therapist. And the reason why I talk about this is there's two reasons. One is, so I was Baker acted, and for those of you who don't know what that terminology is that I was deemed by a mental health professional that I was a threat to myself. So I was put into a facility for 3 days under watch, just to like monitor me and things, and go through a lot of tests and speak with a lot of people. Those 3 days were awful. When I got out of there, I realized that so many people are suffering in silence, and life is just so short that it doesn't make sense to live life with this veil of like, I'm doing great, I'm awesome, I'm perfect, look at my highlight reel. It doesn't make sense. It's better to just live your authentic self and have the people who are attracted to who you are as a person, and vice versa, enter into your life, than just have people who are interested in this veiled personality. So that's why I've always been super open book to my friends or potential friends, but I became more open and vocal about it on social media, on my YouTube channel, after my friend ended his life, because I don't know, if I could just make one person not feel alone, because I know that sometimes you don't have that support system. Sometimes it's hard to reach out to people, or you're scared. And I don't want anyone to feel alone. I want them to feel like they have hope, that they have a chance in getting better. That's my biggest hope, because if I could just help one person, this is all absolutely worth it. So it's okay, you know, we're all imperfect, every single one of us, and we're all dynamic, you know what I'm saying? Like, this depression, this anxiety doesn't rule your life. It doesn't dictate everything, because we're dynamic. We can be happy, we can have wonderful moments. I can make a YouTube channel and be bubbly, but also have a YouTube channel where I'm sad and explaining what's going on in the world. So that's why I do this. With that being said, I have to get ready for my therapy appointment, and I will let you guys know how it goes, but it's okay. And if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, I should see someone, stop this video right now. Go on Psychology Today, find someone. And if you don't have insurance, they have options for therapists who do sliding scale. So there are options, and you can get help. I'll see you then. Fingers crossed it goes well.